You remember back in the day when BlackBerry was a thing? Remember? Don't hear much about BlackBerry anymore. I don't know if they just lost track of technology, or they just didn't keep up, or they didn't plan, or what it was. But now, the iPhone and Galaxies and Googles and others have far surpassed or are more popular and seem to do more things. I see once in a while BlackBerry's making an attempt to do some things with handhelds and phones and things like that, but not quite the way it was before. They were a powerhouse in their day, but not so much anymore. And things change. Even the Model T car. And if you talk to Jay Leno, who's a collector of cars, he says basically it's bulletproof. And you can buy the parts now for a song. It's reliable, but it just isn't fit our needs anymore. We've got so many things now that it can't even imagine. We looked at a car with so many gadgets so that we'd be so confused by everything that's going on. We don't even know. But the Model T had its day. There's several companies that had its time, and yet somehow something happened and others surpassed them, and they were no longer the mainstream. They were no longer the head of their field anymore. In some ways, in this gospel lesson, John represented the old way. He was like Elijah. He was strong. He told it like it was. He didn't back down from anybody. He was in prison. Fine, I'll make the best of it. But then we usher in a new kingdom, a new way. Jesus is announced, and Jesus is now handed the mantle like in a relay race. To hand the baton over, and Jesus is now the new way. He's not breathing fire and brimstone like some of the prophets of old. He's showing a different way for the people. He's showing a new way for us too. And Jesus is not only the new way, he also points to John and says, John was the greatest. He's the greatest among people, but this time has come and gone. Now the least in the kingdom of heaven. He knows who John is, and he recognizes and praises John for his work that he's done and laid out. And now a new time has come. No longer do we hear about the God who destroys and takes people, nations, and leads people in battle and that kind of thing. Although, when you look at the Crusades back in the day, they held the Christian flag and they fought in the name of Christ, and they did many things that probably shouldn't be spoken of. But not the proudest moment in our Christian history, in history alone itself. Jesus ushered in a new way of life. They ask him, is this the Messiah? Well, he says, yeah, look at the poor, the hungry, those who were healed, those who received sight, healed, all these things. He's pointing to the least of these. As a king, he doesn't have his resume as doing the top things. I helped us economically. I ushered in a new regime of government that was much bigger and better than even David could have had. His resume wasn't filled with all the wonderful things that benefited, well, a lot of our resumes, but in big companies too. Although, in some companies, community organizing and helping and serving and those are very important, and they mean a lot. But this is what Jesus points to. It's not the strongest and the best. He's pointing to how he helps the least. Those second-class citizens who had no say. Those who probably didn't make one bit of difference, but it did to those who were healed. Jesus brought forth a new way of looking at life. A new way of perspective of looking at all the people instead of just the elites, the rich, what have you, at the time when they were really looking for something. He also pointed back to Scripture and the prophecies told about him. The prophecies said there'll be the Messiah who will come to heal the sick and give sight to the blind and hearing to the deaf and those kinds of things. So in some ways it was a twofold message. I'm coming in weakness. I'm not your typical leader, And secondly, I point you back to the scriptures that you know so well and you've been brought up with and you memorized as a child. John is questioning, not questioning his faith, but reaffirming who this Jesus is. And Jesus tells his disciples, go tell John that, yep, I'm the one, and the one he announced, he was right on target. It's exactly who I am. It's exactly what I'll do for the people. It's a different kind of leader. We have leaders like this in our world too, who really care about the people who work for them and the people who are served by them. The other day I was at Lutheran Manor and I met a doctor who was a doctor for hospice. And if you would have told me he was a doctor, I wouldn't have believed it because he was the most humble character I've ever met. Very kind, very gentle. He worked with you in so many ways. And he had a great bedside manner. Not only was his medicine up to par, but his social skills and his way with people was too. He knows. He gets it. This is the ministry that Jesus is talking about for all of us. Bearing with one another, forgiving each other, finding ways to settle conflict in healthy ways that we can. John the Baptist was the precursor. He was the messenger, unlike any other messenger. Not in silk finery and well-spoken, well-educated, but just the opposite. The world is turned upside down. And yet, what do we say about John the Baptist? Is his era over? Are there no more John the Baptists left? Yeah, well, there are. You listen to the news, you watch people, you hear, you listen, and you see that people are crying out for a better way of life, whether it be climate change or what have you. It's looking for the betterment of people and saying it in a way that it speaks the truth without swaying like a reed in the wind. Who to bring honor and something special to the world that the world sorely needs. You know, the world is in turmoil, but it always has been in one form or another. And there's always been a need for a John the Baptist, and there's always been, of course, needs for the Christ who came to bring peace and reconciliation and forgiveness and mercy and all those things to us. So this time of Christmas, we celebrate and wait for the coming of the baby Jesus, the newness of life. With a baby, there's newness and hope and all kinds of things that come with it. And so every year we come to this December and we celebrate Advent, the time of waiting, and then we get to Christmas Eve and we're anticipating the birth of the Christ child, and then at that night we find that there's something special in the air. And Christmas Day and the shepherds and the angels and the wise people and the animals surrounding the Christ child in the manger all celebrate and sing with joy. For there is renewed hope. There is a remembrance that this Christ child represents the one who was brought from godhood to personhood to give us life and meaning, to give us something more than what we have. The Christ child is coming, and we await with eagerness and anticipation for that time. Amen.